Good morning, good morning, good morning. I was just enjoying a little music and kind of praising because David don't sing, David praises. So I was praising and didn't realize that my brother Walt was in here listening. And so, yeah. But, today we're going to jump right back in to the Homosexual Manifesto, which was the black and white LGBT movement agenda. And I believe in the next few paragraphs, you're really going to be able to see the connection and how it's already taken place. And so we're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right in. Yesterday, we left off with the last this paragraph. All laws banning homosexual activity will be revoked. Done. Instead, legislation shall be passed. Done. That engenders love between men. All homosexuals must stand together as brothers. We must be united artistically, philosophically, socially, politically, and financially. Of course, financially. That's why they're so strong, because they have this motto amongst themselves that say that my enemy's enemy is my friend. So they don't have to agree. They don't have to like each other. They don't have to all stand for the same thing, but they stand together because their enemy's enemy is their friend. So then they say we will triumph only when we present a common face to the vicious heterosexual enemy. Again, a play on words, just trying to plant that seed that heterosexuality is vicious and not good. If you dare to cry faggot, fairy, queer at us, we will stab you in your cowardly hearts and defile your dead, puny bodies. It's quite a statement from such a loving, tolerating movement, is it not? We shall write poems of love between men. We shall stage plays in which man openly caresses man. We shall make films about the love between heroic men, which will replace the cheap, superficial, sentimental, insipid, juvenile, heterosexual infatuations presently dominating your cinema screens. We shall sculpt statues of beautiful young men, not beautiful men, but young men. Do I need repeat that this movement is targeting the youth? They're going to sculpt statues of bold athletes, which will be placed in your parks, your squares, your plazas. The museums of the world will be filled only with paintings of graceful, naked lads. What's a lad? A boy or a young man. A boy, a schoolboy, a youth, youngster, juvenile, young fellow, a junior, a whippersnapper, a young boy. So they want all of the museums of the world to be filled with paintings of graceful, naked little boys. Are any dots getting connected for you, or do you still not see? If you don't see now, you don't want to see. So our writers and artists will make love between men fashionable and de rigueur. And we will succeed because we are adept at setting styles. We will eliminate heterosexual liaisons through usage of devices of wit and ridicule. Devices which we are skilled in employing. Wit and ridicule. So if we look back at every family show that was on television, I haven't watched television for probably over 5 years now, but if we look back, even when I did watch television, And we can look and see that every family show, every television show had homosexual characters. They were fantastic. They were fabulous. They had money. They were this. They were that. They were witty. They were sarcastic. They were the star. And then in the home also, in case you didn't notice, the women ruled the roost. The woman was the head of the household where there was a husband and a wife. The woman was the head of the household. And the children did whatever they wanted. And they and the wife all dumbed down the father and made snide, sarcastic comments at him, making him look and appear even dumber than his character portrayed. Wow. Talk about an attack on the family unit, the one man, one woman family unit, the man as the head of the household, then the woman, and then the children. Talk about an attack on the natural family, as J.R. Harrison would say. We're going to jump back in. We will unmask the powerful homosexuals who masquerade as heterosexuals. You know, I had a man that claimed to be a pastor, and he was a homosexual. I had him say to me one time when I told him my testimony, he said, "David, that's fantastic. I'm so happy, and I'm excited for what the Lord has done for you. Maybe you were just never really homosexual." I said, "Well, duh, neither are you. We're all heterosexual by design. Just because I accepted and grasped a hold of the sin of homosexuality did not take away my heterosexual design. It was only in understanding exactly what intimacy was and is, and what the desire for that type of, what that desire or that draw is, and recognizing it correctly, that allowed me to embrace my heterosexual design." So, I looked at him and I was like, "Well, duh, neither are you. You're not. All homosexuals are heterosexual. All sinners are heterosexual because we're heterosexual by design. We cannot change our design. Our design is our design, and we can't change that." So they're going to unmask the powerful homosexuals. So they're going to unmask all of the people who are parading around and hiding their sin of homosexuality. So they go on to say, "You will be shocked and frightened when you find that your presidents, their sons, industrialists, senators, mayors, generals, athletes, film stars, television personalities, your civic leaders, your priests are not the safe, familiar, bourgeois, heterosexual figures you assume them to be. We are everywhere. We have infiltrated your ranks. Be careful when you speak of homosexuals because we are always among you. We may be sitting across the desk from you. We may be sleeping in the same bed with you." There's a statement right there. These men and women that are guilty of the sin of homosexuality, the ones that hide it because they know that it's wrong, they don't hide it because they think that it's okay. They hide it because they know that it's wrong, because of a conviction, because of that truth that God places in each one of us from the very beginning. Most of the men that were my clients when I was a transgender prostitute had wives and girlfriends and families. Almost all of them did. The ones that didn't were just playboys and dated many, many, many women. But they also dated many men and many transgenders. Well, they're men too. So many men, no matter what the men look like. in the process of all of this, what I've learned is it's really not about what you look like. It's about the perversion of it, because it's really not about an attraction. I think I've told many of you about 6-7 months ago when I got on my knees and I said, Lord, I need you to remove this attraction. And it was so clear that I wanted him to remove something that he placed in me, that desire for intimacy with another man is part of my nature. It's part of it's my character. It's in my nature. It's part of my makeup. Just because I misidentified that desire as an attraction, and so because I misidentified it as an attraction, because it's an attraction, it has to be either romantic and or sexual. And so I accepted that I was attracted. I told myself, I tricked myself into believing that I was attracted. Of course, it's a society type cultural belief that if you have a draw towards something that you're attracted to it. But that's not true, because we have a natural God-given desire to share intimacy with other men. And because we have that, if we misidentify it as an attraction, then we'll be led right off the path. Then we'll accept the sin of homosexuality as being natural or normal. And not because we know it is, but because we want it to be. I see most of the time when you hear people hollering and screaming and they're trying to convince you that they are what they are, they're not trying to convince you. They're trying to convince them. They already know. So when this agenda tells us that they could be sleeping in the same bed with you, believe it. Which is why, it's so important for women to engage in relationships biblically and scripturally, to find men who love God more than they love themselves, more than they could ever love you, but that they love God more than anything. And that everything go and the course that it's laid out to go. No premarital sex, all of that kind of stuff, because it's so important. Modesty, it all plays a part. And it's so important because there are a lot of women out there with HIV right now. They can't blame their man because their man was sleeping with men. They can blame themselves because that is the recompense. That's their reward for the choices they made to engage in activities or in a relationship that was not a godly relationship. We're going to jump back into this agenda here. It says there will be no compromises. No compromise. The LGBT movement is demanding the right to silence you from speaking out against them, but they're demanding the same right, no compromises, so that they can speak out against those very people they're trying to silence. They say we are not middle-class weaklings. Highly intelligent. I'll tell you something I noticed in the last year is many of the young men and women whose parents and grandparents and brothers and sisters and friends have come to me and said, please pray for this. As they told me about the individuals are some of the most brilliant, most intelligent, genius, most talented individuals I've ever seen. And that is not by mistake. The enemy is gathering up the most talented, the most genius to accomplish what he's setting out to accomplish. They say we are the natural aristocrats of the human race. Steely-minded aristocrats never settle for less. Those who oppose us will be exiled. That tell you what they're up to? Do you not see it now? Do you not see the need to maybe stand up and speak out? We shall raise vast private armies as Mishima did to defeat you. We shall conquer the world because warriors inspired by and banded together by homosexual love and honor are invincible, as were the ancient Greek soldiers. Wow. First of all, it's not love. They have no idea what love is. Second of all, there's no honor in what they're doing. But to liken themselves as Greek soldiers, it tells you that they are inspired by and banded together by the sin of homosexuality, by the lust of their flesh. The family unit spawning ground of lies, betrayals, mediocrity, hypocrisy, and violence will be abolished. The family unit will be abolished. The family unit, which only dampens imagination and curbs free will, must be eliminated. Perfect boys, again, perfect boys, not men, perfect boys will be conceived and grown in genetic laboratory. They will be bonded together in communal settings under the control and instruction of homosexual savants. 2 sentences right there that tell you that the LGBT movement, this dark political mass of wickedness, is targeting young boys. They actually want to be able to grow little boys in a laboratory so they can keep them in a communal setting and under the control and instruction of homosexual savants. You letting them come into your libraries? Is a library a communal setting? Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Let's see if Webster's even has communal setting in it. No. Oh, let's just look it up. Shared by all members of a community for common use of conflict between different communities, especially those having different religions or ethnic origins. They want to grow little boys so that they can be shared by all the members of which community? The LGBT movement, for common use. If that doesn't tell you right there what this movement is after and what they're targeting, that they're targeting your children and your grandchildren. All churches who condemn us will be closed. Yeah, that might happen anyway. Because honestly, church growth never even really took place except under persecution. So bring on the persecution. They say their only gods are handsome young men. You know, they can't tell you enough. Boys, young, lads. We adhere to a code of beauty, moral, and aesthetic. All that is ugly and vulgar and banal will be annihilated. Since we are alienated from middle-class heterosexual conventions, we are free to live our lives according to the dictates of the pure imagination, thoughts and feelings, y'all. For us, too much is not enough. See, we thought them going into, first of all, a lot of people thought them being able to quote unquote get married was too much. Well, they didn't. A lot of people thought that bearded men getting up in drag, dressing like women, going into the library, reading to children was too much. No, they don't think so. Now they're in your schools and your church buildings, and they're reading homosexual stories, they're reading sinful stories, sinful-oriented stories to children. A lot of people think that's too much. They think teaching third graders in Massachusetts about anal and oral sex is too much. Well, they don't think so. Why? Because for them, too much is not enough. The exquisite society to emerge will be governed by an elite comprised of gay poets. One of the major requirements for a position of power in the new society, hope you're paying attention. This was written in 1987, y'all. So one of the major requirements for a position of power in the new society of homoeroticism will be indulgence in the Greek passion. For those of you that don't know, that's anal sex. Any man contaminated with heterosexual lust will be automatically barred from a position of influence. All males who insist on remaining stupidly heterosexual will be tried in homosexual courts of justice and will become invisible men. I can't understand how this how it doesn't speak to some people. You know, I actually sent this. I had a gentleman reach out to me, probably months ago, maybe 6 months ago or so, and he said, actually it was probably about 7 or 8 months ago. It was the end of last year, and he said, why do you keep calling my community a movement? Why do you keep saying that they recruit? Why do you say that they're a bunch of pedophiles? I said, well, it is a movement because movements have agendas. See, the truth has no agenda. The truth has no agenda. The truth is the truth. Can't change that. Movements have agenda. And I sent him the Homosexual Manifesto. I sent him the Overhauling of Straight America, the article we read before we started the Homosexual Manifesto. And I sent him the gay rights movement demands from 1972. And I didn't hear back from him for weeks. And when he did get back to me, he said, looking over my life, seeing all of this in black and white, because you know what, guys, I lived it for over 30 years and never knew that any of these things even existed. Because I was just a victim of the movement. I wasn't the movement. So he says, it really is a movement. They really do have an agenda. And after reading the Homosexual Manifesto, David, I know that I wasn't just abused as a child, I was recruited. See, ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is bondage. And knowledge really is power. Truth is power. So they want all homosexual, all hetero, anyone who insists on remaining, as they say, stupidly heterosexual, to be tried in homosexual courts. And then they will become invisible men. See, they've erased the masculinity. They're trying to erase Christianity, true Christianity, the cross. They're trying to erase anything that puts a doubt in somebody's mind that their lives are not based on their thoughts and feelings, on their emotions. They want people to think that if a man lusts after a woman, that he's contaminated. They want heterosexual Christian men, masculine men, to become invisible. If you don't see that happening with your boys right now, you better wake up. All you dads out there and uncles, and your sons and your nephews are running around with skinny jeans on, and they're feminine and soft, and everyone's saying, it's all right, that's just their way. He still date a girl. No. You need to sit them down and explain to them what masculinity is, and that it's not machoism, that it's representing Jesus, that masculine means representing male. Because if not, then you're not doing your part. If not, then you're actually helping the enemy, helping the LGBT movement to destroy your boys. They want to erase you. They want to erase your boys, your sons, your grandsons, your brothers, your nephews. And what are you going to do about it? I don't want to. Somebody reached out to me and told me they write for some online faith-based, not Christian, but faith-based news, I guess like a news thing online. And I was going to meet with them. And so last night they had sent me a bunch of questions and links, and I woke up at 3 a.m. and just feeling heavy in my heart that their goal and my goal were two different things. That their goal was to attack. And my goal is to rescue. My goal is to reach into the flames, whether I get burned or not in the process, and yank them out. My goal is to introduce the victims of this movement to Jesus through word and deed and action. That's my goal. This individual's goals seem to be to stir up those demons. It's like going to a pride parade or an LGBT event and telling people that they're going to hell, they're going to die of AIDS, that we're reading scripture to them. That's what it's like. Because it's attacking, it's only trying to stir up the demons in them. I'm not trying to stir up the demons in them. Jesus is going to cast them demons out as soon as he touches their life, as soon as they run to him. You know what I learned in the scripture? In the cemetery, where the man was in the cemetery, he had the legion of demons, and Jesus came and he had a legion of demons. All of those demons could not stop that man from running and falling at the feet of Jesus. Jesus didn't go to stir up the demons. He casted them out. But the man ran to him and fell at his feet. Those demons couldn't stop him. A legion of demons couldn't stop you from running and falling at the feet of Jesus Christ. So why do I want to go out and tell people they're going to hell, or read scripture to them, natural man receives not things of the spirit, or tell them that they're going to die of AIDS? Why should I go and try to stir up the demons when I can go and introduce them to Jesus through word and deed and action? We got a lot of damage control to do, folks. We're going to pick up where we left off tomorrow morning, Lord willing. And thanks for joining us. God bless you all. Love you all. Peace.